Hey guys, Cameron, another classic movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing, I want to see this movie for a while. For whatever reason, I just never got a chance to really watch it. Of course, I knew certain things about it, but really not too much about it, but I figured I'd finally watch it this year, and that is a movie that I'm sure a lot of you are surprised I haven't seen, and I'm surprised myself I haven't seen, and that is the 1983 romantic comedy classic, Risky Business. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie for a number of reasons. One, because it's Tom Cruise, and anything he's in is pretty much great except for a few movies, but most things that he was in is great. I also heard this was the movie that made Tom Cruise the star that he is today, as well as the fact of I was just really interested in seeing it. I heard it had a really interesting plot, and I heard especially if you're a teenager, you gotta watch this movie. And I have to say that after watching Risky Business, I really love this movie overall. I thought this was a very fun movie. There were a lot of things to really like about it, but also was quite insightful and had a lot more to say than I thought it did. And let's get to the plot of Risky Business, which I really do love the plot of this movie. Basically, we center on this main character, Joel Goodson, who is exactly that. He's a good son, he's a good student, he's pretty much your typical high school student. You know, he has really good grades, his father wants to go to Princeton University, but that, week, his parents happen to be gone. They seem to be, they're going away on a trip and everything, and his friends are telling him, especially his friend Miles, is encouraging him to basically just live in the moment and do something rebellious and, go against the norm of what he usually does and just have some kind of freedom. And Joel decides, while he's in that freedom, to call this call girl, basically, Lana and everything, and they start bonding very quickly. They have sex and everything, but Joel quickly realizes that there's a lot more that Lana's involved in than he thinks, and he gets himself involved in a lot more, and basically the question is, can he, fix all this stuff before his parents come home? And that basically is the plot of Risky Business. So it sounds pretty simple, but there's actually a lot more to this movie than you think, and that's one of the reasons I really like this movie as much as I did. Now, one of the things that I'm sure you guys expect me to say is that the cast here is great. I think everyone really did a great job, not just Tom Cruise, but everyone. But Tom Cruise obviously is the standout. He really nails this character of Joel Goodson for many reasons. I mean, like I said, he really is your typical high school student. He's someone that does good grades, and he's also someone that's not very rebellious. He's not the guy that's going to a party every weekend and just getting drunk. That's not Joel. He obviously is kind of horny and he has sexual fantasies, but he hasn't really participate in anything that rebellious. And so when he gets this opportunity, I really like the transformation he undergoes, because while he does become a lot more rebellious and a lot more, just risky behavior and engage in risky behavior and things like that, he still stays very grounded, and he doesn't want to go too far, and he doesn't want to end up, being this, he doesn't want to end up being a loser. He doesn't want it to end affecting his future, and I really think he did a great job. I really love what he did in this movie. Tom Cruise, I think, just did a really good job. I really like the character of Joel Goodson, and by far, I think one of Tom Cruise's best performances. He also narrates the movie. Some people have said they get Ferris Bueller vibes, and I definitely did see that, but basically, here's the best comparison. This is Ferris Bueller if Ferris Bueller was rated R. That's the best way to compare it. I think he definitely did a very good job. Who surprised me the most, though, was Rebecca De Mornay as Lana, because you have a character here who is a prostitute, and I was thinking that because they have someone like a prostitute, they're not going to get that great of an actress, but no, I really think she did a great job here. She really was fantastic, and one of the things I love about Lana is that she's not just this girl that you're going to have a one-night stand with. He actually wants a genuine connection with her. He starts to bond with her, they start to actually get very close, and they form a genuine relationship, and I really like that, and you kind of see that Lana is a little bit more grounded than the other, prostitutes that Joel comes in contact with, but she also obviously has this life. She is a prostitute, she has some people after her, she has people she's working for, and I like the way they did that, because honestly, you really are rooting for these two together, and honestly, I think they shared some very good scenes together. They have fantastic chemistry. They both worked very well, and I think definitely they both really did a great job. And they definitely, I think, are the highlight of this movie. The scenes where they are on together, they are fantastic. I think they both did a great job, and I really love what they had to do in this movie. And then the other characters in the movie, like Joe Pantoliano as Guido, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I'm not really sure, or Richard Macer as Rutherford. and even Shara Danzy as Vicky, and as well as Joel's friends. I thought really everyone did a really good job here. Thing is with Guido's character though is that you kind of suspect that something definitely is going on with Lana and Guido. Even though Lana is hanging out with Joel, you don't really know if she's really good or not. You don't really know if this is really genuine or if this is just her trying to get money, because the movie really does get into that a little bit, is what a prostitute has to go through, and is, this connection really real, or is it just manufactured? And I thought they did a really good job with that. I thought everyone really did a great job in the acting department. As good as the acting is, though, I think the thing that really makes this movie is Paul Brickman. Everything that he did here is fantastic in his directing and the screenplay. I really think he did a great job. His directing here, while this movie is a comedy, there's something kind of dark about it, and there's something kind of real about this all, and honestly, I really did like that, because a big part of this movie is the tone. The tone is very fun. It's a very fun film, and it's a lot of fun to watch, but I really wouldn't consider it necessarily a comedy rather than I would a dramedy, because that really is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of real stuff put in here, but the tone is fun, and the tone is, I think very well executed. I definitely really did like that. Definitely thought the tone was very well done, but I think the best thing about this movie really is the screenplay. Paul Brickman's really trying to say here, I think it really came across in the way he wanted to. The real message of this movie is to stay opportunistic, is, to show all those opportunities that someone has, and there are so many things going on in this movie, such as, the loss of innocence, because Joel really does go through that loss of innocence in this movie. He goes from this regular teenager to this huge, just entrepreneur who has all this money, and it's really crazy the way this is happening, but you can tell that Lana's kind of screwing him over, and there's a lot of tension throughout this, because you don't really know if you can initially trust Lana, and if she really is on the good side of things, and that's something that I really did like seeing, is that if she really is gonna hold her deal to Joel, if she really does care about him, or is she just playing him to get something out of him, especially toward the ending. I thought was really cool the way they did that, but the writing here I thought was very well done. I like the voiceover, things like that, but the movie also has this great message of, even though you may be involved in rebellious activities, you should still, dream big. You should still pursue for the future. You should still want to go out there and do something with your life, and we should all kind of try to be like Joel. Joel's someone that, yeah, he does engage in rebellious activity, but it doesn't mean that he can't be successful. It doesn't hold him from, keeping those successful goals that his parents want him to reach, and that's something I definitely really did like. That's something else I really liked in the movie, was Joel's parents. Joel's parents, his father is quite stern, but his mother kind of expects him to do some rebellious things. I mean, every teenager kind of does rebellious things in their time, and I definitely really like the way that was done here. And of course, there are some classic scenes in this movie, especially old-time rock and roll. That was something I knew was going to happen, and it's just such a fun scene. I think it's just the perfect example of just being free and just having fun, really. Just a big part of, adolescence is having fun and being free and getting to do things, on your own. That's one of the best things about being a teenager, is that you're free to do whatever you want. You're on your own, and especially when you're home alone, you can really do whatever you want, and so many people have parodied that scene. I've even seen people from my school parody that scene. It didn't exactly work out for them, but, that's just such an iconic scene. It was so fun to watch it here. I really did enjoy watching that. Cinematography here I thought was very well executed. I definitely really did like it overall. I didn't expect this movie to get as crazy as it did, but really it does get pretty crazy towards the end of it. Definitely, I thought that was very well done. The score here, I really did like the score. The score really represents tension going on in this movie. Like I said, even though this movie is a comedy, there is definitely tension going on here. There's a lot of darkness, because there's a lot of things that we just don't know. Is Joel too trusting of Lana? Is Lana genuinely care about Joel? And that's stuff that I really did like seeing, is, can he really trust her? Can he really get the girl? Is this someone that he can actually spend the rest of his life with? Or is this just someone that wants to make some money? Who is she really? And that's something I think the movie did really, really well. But she's also someone that kind of wants out of the business, you see a little bit, and she kind of just wants her own life, and you don't really know which is true, and I really did like that. I thought that was definitely very well done. But the music as well, there's a great 80s score going throughout this movie. Some of this movie, I could see people saying some of this movie is softcore porn, and I really disagree with that. The porn bits in this movie is because she's a call girl, and because she's gonna have a lot of sex and things like that, and Joel clearly is attracted to her, which I will admit, she is quite attractive. I definitely will say that, especially the train scene and things like that. The editing here as well, I thought this movie was very well edited. I was into it pretty much the whole time. It went by quite fast, My only thing is I do think the movie could have just gone on a little bit longer, just so the stakes could have been a little bit higher, because while the stakes are high, the ending of this movie, I just felt didn't really go with the rest of the movie, and that's really my only complaint, is that the ending just kind of ruined a couple things. I mean, I'm talking about the very last scene, the ending the ending that happens before, that was fine. I'm talking about the very last scene in this movie. It just didn't really go in the way I expected it to, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but I just kind of wanted a more darker ending. In fact, if you guys don't know, Paul Brinkman initially intended a much darker ending, and he had one planned. You guys can check it out. The alternate ending, I feel, is a lot better than the ending that we got. The ending that we got, I just felt was too hopeful, and I just kind of wanted, not too hopeful, that's not the word, I just thought was a little too close of call, definitely. I thought it was a bit unrealistic, and that is one of my problems with this movie, is that a few things in this movie, I just felt were a bit unrealistic. The movie in general, I think, is supposed to be a realistic interpretation of rebellion and what teenagers will go through, and I think, part of this movie, especially the third act, was kind of unrealistic, and it kind of just got away from all the realism that the rest of the movie was pursuing. But in order to get into that, I do want to get into spoilers just a little bit, so if you guys haven't seen Risky Business, there's not a ton of stuff to talk about, but I do want to talk about the very end of this movie and the problems I have with it. But if you haven't seen Risky Business, I do just want to spoil a little bit of the ending, so let's just get into it. Okay, so a lot of people have talked about the ending with Lana. The question is Lana genuinely someone that loves Joel, or is this just someone that wants to have her all to herself and kind of screw him over and be her pimp, basically? What does she really want from him? And that's a question that we don't really get, even at the ending of this movie. He even says, yeah, do you want to pursue a relationship? Yes, no, maybe. He's joking around about it, but you don't really know what she's gonna do, and especially, and it's just crazy how after she took all of his furniture, and after she screwed him over, after he lost the car, all this stuff happened, he's still gonna try to pursue a relation with her, and I get that he wants a genuine connection, but it really does show how stubborn he is, but honestly, I think that part is realistic. And the thing with him getting into college, that's fine. My problem with the movie is the ending. I just thought the ending was a bit too close of a call, and I kind of like the alternate ending where it's a bit more left up in the air, where basically we see, Joel and Lana, they're desperate. They want to try to pursue a relationship, and it's just not really working out in the way they want it to. And you can tell that even though these two want to be together, they can't really after everything she's done. And I just thought the original ending just kind of made things just a little too hopeful. Because honestly, I don't really think after everything they've been through that there's any way that Joel and Lana could have an actual future together. Lana's always going to be involved with this business. Lana's always going to be pursuing prostitution. And that's something she's not going to be able to get out of. Because Guido and people like that are always going to be coming after people like Joel. And that's something that Joel, I don't think, is ready to face. So that part of the movie, I think, just was a little too close of a call, and that kind of ruined some of the movie for me. But that's really my only complaint, and I just really want to talk about it a little bit because I want to get more in depth with what I really had a problem with, because I just want you guys to know, I didn't have a problem with him getting into college. I had a problem with the very end of them kind of making us think that Joel and Lana have a genuine future together, because I honestly believe that they don't. Overall, guys, Risky Business is a very fun movie. I really enjoyed it overall. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Not that I didn't think it was going to be good, but I thought this was going to be kind of just an average, romantic comedy. It had a lot more to say than I did. It's very realistic at points. It has some great messages, like I said, about the future, but also about living in the moment. And I think it's also the perfect example of the loss of innocence. Someone who is so innocent and then does all these things and turn them not as innocent, and they can't ever come back from that. That's something I thought the movie did very well. And while does falter a bit in the third act, I'm still going to give Risky Business a 4.5 out of 5 or an A-, mainly because I really enjoyed this movie for the most part. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very realistic, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And the third act withstanding, overall, I think this is probably one of the most realistic interpretations of teenage rebellion that you could see. And especially if you are a teenager, you have to watch this movie at least once in your life. So overall, guys, my review, Risky Business. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Have seen, love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think of my interpretation of the endings? Like I said, for me, the ending just didn't really work in the way I wanted it to. I definitely would prefer the alternate ending, but which ending you guys prefer? We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.